Patreon. Thank you so very much for your subscriptions. If you're interested in subscribing to the channel, you can go to patreon.com and support the channel by choosing a subscription level. You'll get the daily forecast over there a day early. There's also other readings that are available only over on the Patreon page, depending on what subscription level you choose. It's a great way to support the content that I put out here for free for everybody to enjoy, like this reading here. This is the February of 2021 forecast for the sign of Gemini. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Gemini, you may want to watch this video. If you have heavily placed planets in the sign of Gemini, you may want to watch this video. I would consider 3 or more as heavily placed. So that includes the smaller planets like the nodes, Chiron, Ceres, Lilith, any of those. If they're in Gemini, you may want to watch this coupled with some of the bigger planets. My Saturn is in Gemini. So this is for, it's a broad spectrum reading for all of the Geminis for the month. So bearing that in mind, it is going to be used in sort of more broad terms. If it doesn't make sense or doesn't fit in with anything that you're working on, that's okay. It could be your houses, the placement of what planets are in what houses. Those things all have an effect on these readings. So basically take what you need and leave the rest. If you are able to relate to the video and you're able to fit it into your life, know that any personal decisions you make in your day-to-day life after having watched any of my videos, those are your responsibility. Always use your own intelligence and intuition first and foremost. But you guys are Geminis, you'll do that. You guys are, brainy as it is, but and never take anything that I say over that of a professional in their field. So if like a doctor or lawyer, therapist is giving you advice, please listen to them first and foremost. Don't take what I say over what they say. Again, always use your own intelligence and intuition when using any of these videos. So let's see here. What do my Geminis need to know? So for the guide card for the month, we're doing the Spirit Messages deck from John Holland. So hopefully you get a sense of what the Geminis are going to experience for February. All right, we have ground yourself. Being distracted, unfocused, tired, irritated, impatient are all signs that you're ungrounded. Now is the time to become centered and allow Spirit to help you ground yourself and reconnect with the divine source. I like this card. It's sort of not all in the frame. Sorry, let me move it over. I like this card from the standpoint that it feels sort of obviously meditative. I like that we see her at her back and she's sort of barebacked. Did I just say that? Excuse me. She's sort of vulnerable, and that's what I like about it. She has her back turned to us, so she can't necessarily see. And I feel like my Geminis might want to explore some of that vulnerability. There may be strength in that vulnerability. I can't believe I said barebacked. I love that she has these white birds flying across her. To me, that's a sense of, not only does that indicate like the message from Spirit, but it also indicates like a freedom, a purity, a lightness to this card, right? And so when I think about the idea, you guys being air signs, right? You want to be a little bit, can have a tendency to maybe want to get a little bit ungrounded. Air is certainly a much lighter energy than I would consider earth energy people, right? So you guys tend to want to vibrate a little bit higher, be a little bit freer. But I feel like with these birds flying across, these are definitely air creatures, right? They fly through the air. They utilize the air to make movement. And when I look at the beauty of this tree and the root system, right? And it's grounding in this sort of maybe who we are at our most bare or at our most vulnerable within ourselves. When we ground in that truth, we actually set the Gemini free to fly like these birds. Does that make sense? And so I kind of like the imagery there. We can maybe let down some of our walls. That would be the nakedness of the lady here, and let down those walls and allow for us to just be who we are. Even if we only do this in private with ourselves, right? Throughout the month, I think that there's a power in this. And I think that there's a strength in this that Gemini will gain that will be really optimal for you guys. All right, so let's shuffle the tarot and see where you guys are at. And also I like that, that sense of freedom that I get from the birds. So it's like, even though we think grounding might feel like, I don't know, heavy, not fun, not how we're normally used to operating, if we like to be a little bit more like light on our feet, quicker thinking, that sort of stuff. I actually think when we ground, we can move quicker, is the feeling that I'm getting from those birds. That they fly faster, they move more quickly. We're going to actually find that in doing this, we can get maybe more accomplished or more done, and maybe even surprise ourselves in some way. All right, let's see here. What does Gemini need to know? And for those of you that don't know, Aquarius just went up and Libra will be next. And then I'll start the water signs probably tomorrow. For anybody watching live right now, wondering where their sign is. And again, always a reminder, the Patreon page is there for you guys to support. If you're interested, if you watch these videos regularly, enjoy them, I greatly appreciate any support. All right, let's see here. So the center card tells me a bit about where the Geminis are going to be centered for the month. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be this the entire month, but you'll go in and out of this sort of card throughout the month. It gives me a little insight into kind of what you could potentially be creating for the future, what could be going on in the now, kind of also sets up for what we might be expected to experience later. So let's just see what that is. Oh, I love this. We have the Queen of Swords. Hello, Gemini. Talk about being in your energy. And it's interesting too, because when we look at this, see how she's sort of, you know, got the naked back and she's grounded in who she is, but she still has that air element. There's a strength here to grounding ourselves. And when I look at this Queen of Swords, she's always about truth, honesty, clear-cut feelings, right? Because she's a queen, right? So there's an element of feelings to her, but she's aware of them. She's in control of them. She's at peace with them. Again, we also have the birds here too. So again, there is a freedom that's going on this month, I think, even if we do find ourselves needing to ground ourselves. As we ground ourselves, I like that this Queen of Swords is the center. It's Swords element. It's your element. It's air. It's about quick thinking, decisive thinking, decisions being made, truths being told. Yes, there is the element of emotions, but we're thinking, we're putting not analytics, but I guess maybe analytics over our emotions, but it also feels good to me, right? In the sense that we're in touch with how we feel, but we're also thinking clearly, and we're utilizing that to our advantage. That coming with this ground yourself also kind of feels like strengthened it even more, if that makes any sense. Now, the next card is what I call the foundation card. It sits here in the bottom, and I utilize the analogy of a foundation of a house. This card should represent a period of time from the past for you. For each one of you, it may be a different period, but a period of time from the past that kind of opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today, right? All of these cards are built upon this foundational card. It can sometimes be the memory of this experience or this card that drives us in the now, or it can be what holds everything in place, right? So sometimes when we deal with the memory of something, we're like, oh, that's why I do that, right? So let's see what this is. This is the Nine of Pentacles. I like this, actually. This is the independent card. This was the center card for Aquarius in the previous reading. To me, this is about having everything that we need and feeling really fulfilled on a personal level. Nines are about personal completions in my book. So when we sort of look at the Nine of Pentacles, she's grounded. Again, we have that ground yourself. There was a period in the past where we had everything we needed and we felt more grounded. Now is the time to do that. But I feel like we're coming in with this grounding with a little bit more strength with that Queen of Swords in the center, right? I also love that this Nine of Pentacles for my Geminis is the driving force behind this month, in the sense that even though it's from the past, it's that reminder of what we can actually accomplish and what we can achieve from our own, abundance and stores and wealth, right? Our own information, and how we can materially manifest that in our lives. Again, we have another bird. This card is very significant with the falcon. It's a significant imagery with the Nine of Pentacles is this falcon. It kind of transfers from deck to deck. So it's interesting that there's a lot of bird imagery happening. If we look here, there's, like I said, there's these birds here too. So there's, to me, that's like this idea of staying light this month, keeping things moving, keeping things grounded, but also being, sort of in our intellect, in our smarts, in our intelligence, and making it move. With this Nine of Pentacles in the foundation, it's kind of like this, past card, but it also feels to me as I'm looking at it, it kind of feels like it's working in the background, kind of like how I have the underpinning for those of you that watch the daily forecast with me on Sunday, how that energy underpins for the rest of the week. I feel like this Nine of Pentacles is also, and I don't normally feel this with this position, that's why I'm pointing this out. I feel like this Nine of Pentacles is actually working in the background for us this month, meaning as we ground ourselves and as we sit in our power and in our sort of element of that Queen of Swords, we're actually going to be making some, maybe for some of us, some really important decisions that are going to bring about some more abundance, maybe, if that makes sense, because that's the Nine of Pentacles. It would indicate that sort of personal abundance that we want. So whatever we're looking for this month, or we feel like we're going into February looking for, if it's money, if it's love, if it's, you know, I don't know, just whatever materially that we feel like might satisfy us or satiate us, that's the thing that I feel like this Nine of Pentacles is helping us. This energy from the past is coming in to help us to move forward towards it, but stay grounded and stay smart about how you go about getting there. This being the foundation says we will be successful if we act accordingly, right? And stay grounded. Now, let's go to the card that's above us. This is the Spirit or Soul card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where your spirit or soul is at, what it wants you to focus on or work on during this month. So this is the Moon. The Moon is major arcana. So I'm going to say this. We're going to have some, this is kind of a significant card. So we want to pay attention to this card. The Moon, though, can be a little bit of a struggle bus energy. It is represented by Cancer and Pisces, which are both very emotional, watery energies. The Moon is like the subconscious, right? I would say pay attention to your dreams this month, Gemini. I would say also the idea of grounding yourself in conjunction with this Moon card in the spirit space speaks to, we might get a few, how do I want to say this? We might get a few mixed signals that we can't, and I'm talking about internal mixed signals from our subconscious that we're not quite sure how to act or work with. Does that make sense? And so what I feel like the cards are telling me as I'm looking at theirs, there's almost a steps system happening here. First, we have to ground ourselves this month. Then when we ground ourselves, we bring ourselves out of this more subconsciously moony kind of weird energy that we can't quite figure out. It might be leading us not down wrong paths, but like confusing paths, right? Where we can't quite make out the message. We can't quite discern what our spirit or our higher self is trying to get through to us, but there's something there. There's always something there with the Moon, right? What I feel like is when we ground ourselves, we actually bring ourselves down out of this sort of subconscious confusion and into this Queen of Swords, where she has this sort of clarity, yet she's the queen, right? So she's that Cups energy, which ties back into the Moon's Pisces and Cancerian energy, right? So it's like when we ground ourselves, we bring ourselves down out of this more heady Moon stuff that's happening in our spirit. There could be there could be a little bit of a psychic rearrangement that's happening with my Geminis this month. I don't know, and I don't feel like it's a bad rearrangement. What I feel like is it's almost like maybe there's some sort of an expansion that's happening, hence why you're being asked to ground. And I feel like whatever is happening, the messages could be coming to us through our dreams, through our subconscious, and the messages may not always make sense. You guys might feel a little bit more emotive this month. The drive is strong with that Nine of Pentacles again, Pentacles also being earth energy takes us back to this element of grounding and reminding ourselves to ground in who we are, what we know, and what we need. And the Queen of Swords helps us to make those decisions, keep the hold of those truths, and move forward in a strong way. But that Moon in the spirit space says to me, be careful of, and the Moon's not a negative card, don't get me wrong, but it can be a little bit muddied, confused, sort of wonky in a way. So that's why I feel like we're being told to ground this month so that we can maintain clarity and we can produce the results that we want. I do feel good about this stuff. And I also feel like the Moon being such a sort of, I would call it very spiritual in the sense like sometimes it's so spiritual in a way that it's oftentimes misunderstood, right? Because it's so much the subconscious that we're like, wait, what is this? I don't understand. There could be deep things coming up for us. There could be deep emotive things coming up for us from deeper levels that we might have to like deal with or feel through, right? But I feel like with that Queen of Swords in the center, we are feeling, because that would be the Queen energy, but the Swords energy is about staying in that analytical, clear thinking state of mind. So that's why we have to ground ourselves, correct? Okay, I hope we're all on the same page with that one. So if some of you find yourself feeling a little bit emotional, waking up in the morning and maybe being like, what is going on? It's that moon energy. Something's working for my Geminis. Like something is shifting or changing, I feel like, and it might not always feel super comfortable, hence why you need to ground yourself this month. But there's an expansion, because also we see this growth in the tree too. Like this tree is also expanding not only its root system, but also its leaves. So there's a growth happening subconsciously and consciously, or super consciously in a way, right? So let's keep that in mind. We also see that growth. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm seeing other patterns. We also see the growth of the tree mimicked in the vines of the grapes there. That to me also looks sort of very similar. Like they're drawing my attention right now, these cards, and showing me like, oh yeah, I see the growth in the tree. It's also here in the Nine of in the Nine of Vines, in the Nine of Pentacles. I will say this too, that is making me feel like in this past period where we might have felt more accomplished and self-sufficient and in control and good, right? That Nine of Pentacles, there was expansion happening during that period too. I just need to acknowledge that is what I feel like. All right, so the next two cards are the outside influences. These things are going to be things like people or situations that could be affecting us this month. They can be things more vague, like belief systems or energies that we carry with us that we think are us, but they're actually separate from us. They were taught to us or whatever. And they can be affecting us either positively or negatively. We should just be made aware of them. So one is the Knave of Chalices. So talk about a little bit more emotion coming in. Now, this is going to be an outside situation or person, possibly. Knaves, because they're court cards, can indicate a person outside of us, right? It can be usually a younger person. It might be someone of the water sign influence, like Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Usually this card represents sort of optimism and dreamlike thinking or magical thinking. There's sort of knaves always have like enthusiasm to them. They're not necessarily always the brightest bulb in the box, but they are open and able to sort of learn. This knave here to me speaks to two different options for you guys. Either some of you might be impacted by a sort of a youthful water sign, like I said, that might bring you some sort of optimism or hope. They might bring you sort of a new way to perceive things in a way that you haven't seen. Remember that this Knave of Chalices, he's going to be a little bit magical thinking, and that Queen of Swords is going to be a little bit practical thinking, right? So we want to be careful about, not careful, but we want to be able to see the message that the Knave may bring us. But if this is not a person, this could be situational or experiences that happen to us this month that challenge us slightly emotionally, but they also, I feel like his job is to open us up so that we can see things from maybe a more childlike perspective or open perspective. And I feel like there could be opportunities there for us. But again, we're back in that watery sort of energy, which we see represented up in that moon. And so to me, I almost feel like that Queen of Swords is trying to hold on to her, not her sanity, but she's trying to hold on to her perspective this month. Because the Knave, he's sweet. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the sweetest cards in the deck, in my opinion. So I don't get any sort of, negative feelings from this. I just feel like he could be either experiences or people, situations that could be coming at us and throwing us for a loop a little bit, where we're like, wait a second, what? You want me to do what? Like, I don't get it. And so we want to be open to him, because I feel like he's ultimately there and able to help us, but he might speak a different language. Make any sense? Who knows? Like if one of you leaves me a comment and says, I met this guy and he was 25 and he was from Spain and only spoke Spanish and he turned out to be a Pisces, I will freak. But what I mean by a different language, he may have a different way of communicating, like just his style. And so his optimism might be able to infuse you with a little bit of excitement. He also could have the potential to confuse you a little bit with that moon energy up in your spirit space. So be mindful of how much you let in, stay grounded, but stay open to and allow some of his magic in too. Now let's look at the other outside influence. I love it. So this is the 10 of Cups. Okay. We've got a lot of water energy happening around my Geminis. I don't mind that though, because the Queen of Swords would be Gemini's home suit, but with that Queen element of cups underneath that swords, right? So to me, I feel like you were trying our very best to relate to what's going on around us in an effort to create success for ourselves. And I do love that. The 9 of Pentacles indicates in the foundation that we will, the drive and the will, the grounding is there. We can make this happen. There's some adjustments that need to be happening though. I do feel like with the 10 of Cups on the other side is the other outside influence. That's really positive experiences no matter how you look at it. 10 of Cups is about feeling emotionally good and well and all of that. So I feel like as we ground, ideally, if anything, if there's any distress this month for my Geminis, and distress is even a harsh word. I feel like when I'm looking at this moon card, to me, it's going to be internal. It's going to be more mixed messages maybe coming from within ourselves, muddied thoughts or unclear about certain things. But even so, I kind of feel like with that 9 of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, as long as we're grounding ourselves this month, we're fine to make decisions. We're fine to move forward. I don't want us to negate our higher self this month, but if we don't fully understand what's going on, maybe emotionally or whatever, just stay grounded and keep moving is kind of the feeling I get, and allow these things to carry you through, if that makes sense. The Knave of Cups and the 10 of Cups, I feel like both aren't necessarily, they're both actually beneficial to us this month, but we don't want to get, what's the word? Like, I don't think we want to get lost in the emotions of this month. I do feel like that Queen of Swords is somewhat, not resistant, but she is kind of trying to hold her space this month while we move through all of this stuff. The 10 of Cups does indicate that there will be there could be celebrations for some of you of some sort. I kind of get a feeling that there could be reunions in that 10 of Cups in a good way. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. For some of you that might be apart from somebody you care very deeply for, or you haven't seen them in a while, that 10 of Cups could indicate that those sort of things are coming back together for you guys. And that could be really beneficial and lovely. Now, the last card is what I call the potential outcomes card. This card tells me a little bit about sort of where the majority of the Geminis will end up at the end of the month. I always call this the potential outcomes card because I don't want anybody living for my predictions. So what I mean by this is it means that like it sort of lets us know, indicates what's kind of coming down the pipe, barring that nothing major changes. So we're naturally sort of heading towards this card right now. We can utilize this card if it's a negative card or something we don't want to have happen. We can use it as a warning to sort of make choices and changes through free will to avoid this outcome. But if it is a positive outcome or something that we want to see happen, we can take heart in the fact that we're sort of naturally heading towards it. So let's see what this is. Oh, I love it. So this is the King of Swords. All right. All right. All right. So immediately I see two different meanings in this. One of you is going to, some of you might graduate, right? From Queen of Swords to King of Swords, right? Which is shifting into that real seat of full on swords upon swords power. But some of you, I feel like that King is that 10 of Cups reunion. That might just be one of you. I'm not sure exactly. And that moon could be the emotions around that reunion. And do I really want him back? And I don't know why I'm feeling that, because this is just for very one of you, maybe specific. I can't imagine that there's one more of you. That 9 of Pentacles is that driving force of that independence, right? That 9 of Pentacles represents that sort of independence of that woman in the field by herself, having everything that she needs, and the memory of that. And so I'm going to just go on this tangent for a minute. Bear with me, guys. If this is meant for you, it is. If it's not, don't worry about it. The Queen of Swords to me feels like my Gemini is or has worked hard at maybe removing themselves from a situation or a relationship. The moon to me indicates emotional confusion at the higher self level because you and this person are very tied. And I don't necessarily indicate that the Queen and King of Swords would be like soulmates, but I feel like these two communicate very well. When it works really well. But when it goes bad, it's like clashing of swords, right? Clang, clang, clang. I can hear that. The Ten of Cups indicates maybe a reunion of these two. And I think that might be some of why you need to ground yourself. It's interesting to me, she has her back turned, right? That might be the separation that I see here. So I'm not sure who that's for. If there's somebody out there and this resonates, please leave me a comment and let me know. Be like, oh my God, I am the bitch, because I would die. For those of you that this is not about that sort of breakup to make up, to be confused about whether or not we want them back in our lives, those of you, this outcome would indicate that I feel like this is you guys moving further into your power, further into your seat of understanding what it is you want and how it is you're going to go about getting it. By the end of the month, going into March, I would expect you guys should feel empowered, excited, in control. Ideally, I want to hope that moon energy, whatever that subconscious stuff, because to me, it's almost like the visualization I'm getting in my mind's eye is like the moon is seeping information to us in a way that we may not understand, right? But it's ultimately leading us to this graduation of the King of Swords, right? So we're getting some better, deeper understanding of ourselves through whatever messages we're getting from our subconscious this month. And as we adapt to them, or as we learn them, or as we adopt them or accept them, and that also might be what that knave is trying to teach us with that magical thinking, is how to find that acceptance around it. It enables us to sort of become a more complete and whole version of ourselves. So by month's end, we're feeling, instead of the Queen of Swords, we're feeling like we are the King of Swords. We're even that much more empowered, that much more decisive, that much more clear on what it is we need to do to get where we need to be and to really make that happen. I also love that Ten of Cups is there, which says that the environment around us should be really beneficial and give us reasons to feel good about what's going on and what we're moving towards, or what we're at least experiencing through February, to stay in that positive mindset. So that would be for the majority of you. But for some of you, or maybe one of you, there's this is like he's back. I totally feel that. And you're like, no way, I worked really hard for this. It took me a minute to get here. Do I really want him back? And you're being tossed and turned in the volatility of the emotions of the moon. That's my feeling. I hope somebody finds this reading and says, oh my God, that's so my story. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I see a story there for that. I feel it. All right, so that is your Gemini reading for February of 2021. I hope it makes sense. I hope you guys utilize it. Remember, just, stay grounded this month. No matter what comes up, if it's emotional or confusing within you, if you feel mixed emotions or weirdness this month, that's completely fine. Stay grounded and stay focused on your goals, and really look for the positive things that are going on around you, because there should be some lovely influences happening for you guys this month, and expect to graduate into a little bit more state of accomplishment, authority, however you want to see that King of Swords. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next month. Please join me every day on the channel on YouTube for the daily forecast for all signs, and subscribe to the channel over there. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you all for tuning in. And when the video is fully uploaded, if you go over there and watch it, again, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. It helps me with the algorithms. I'm trying to grow my channel over there. All right, thank you, you guys, and have a great day. Bye-bye.